Alright, hi everybody. You're going to be making the classic TicTacToe game with React. Let's get to it. So I have here a basic create React app. We're going to remove the default stuff, and we also going to add the CSS to the app. I'm going to explain the CSS later, but I don't want to focus that much in it. But later on, we're going to see what all of this means. All right. Now, let's start by creating the basic structures of the game. So first of all, we're going to have an array of the state of the game called TTT. So TTT and set TTT is going to be an array of 9 numbers. We're going to import the useState and useEffect hooks that we're going to be using later. That's it. We reload this. Awesome. Now we're going to be doing the basic structure here. So we have a div. We're going to have a div for the game. Now we're going to map through the state of the game and display each of that. We're using a map, all right? So you're going to map through TTT. First, we're going to initiate a text variable that is going to be a slash when empty, and then we're going to use a switch for the position. We're going to be doing, if the case is 0, meaning there is no selection, we're going to say that text is equal to a slash. This is maybe not needed, but we do it anyway. Then if the case is 1, we have that the text is equal to an X, and we work. And if the case is 2, we said that the text is an O. All right. We also work here. Awesome. Then we return from the map. We're going to return. And there you go. We're seeing what's up. The key in the eye. All right. So what do we have here? So we have the state of the app that is 9 numbers of the state of each block, and we are mapping through that and giving the position. This is the value of the current state and the index in the array to have a key if you want to access a particular block. And we're giving a class name, and I forgot to give in the text that we are doing, right? So we have slashes here. Awesome. And the on-click, we're going to make it in a moment, but basically we have this. Let's see what the CSS is. We have the app. The app doesn't have any CSS. We have the game. So the game is a display grid with 3 columns of the same length or the same width, and with a width of 100%. So it displays all the screen. Then each VLK has a lot in them. So what we have here is that each of them is a display flex. We have a font family Roboto, font size of 2M. This is so the text is in the center with a height of 70. Justify self-center. This is justifying in the grid, a padding and margin and border. Also, we have the user select none, so the user can select the text. Awesome. Now what we're going to do is make the pick function so the user can select their move. All right. So we have a pick function. It's going to have the index. So, all right, before doing the pick function, we're going to create all the auxiliary variables in the state that we're going to use for other function and the pick function. So we're going to have the game start. This variable is going to hold the state. This variable is going to be true if the game has started. Then we're going to have the player, the current player that is moving or selecting, and this is going to be a boolean that is going to be back and forth to the X on or the O player. Then we're going to have the last one variable that is going to hold who won the last round, and this initiates with a slash. And finally, we have the moves that is going to hold the amount of moves that is currently in the game. We're going to see why we do this in a moment. So, all right, let's start with the pick function here. So first, every time we pick, we set the game to true. So every time we say that the game has started, then we check, all right, if the index that we are going to access in the array of the game is 0. This is checking that the square is not already with a value, right? And we're going to say that TTT index, so the index of the current block, is going to be equal to the player. If the player is false, because the player is a boolean, this is going to be true or false, selecting one or the other depending on the current player. That value is going to be saved in the state of the game. All right, so we can see here if it was the X player or the O game player. Now we need to update the current state of the game. So we do set TTT and we deconstruct the TTT into the new state, if that makes sense. So now we set the player to not player, so we switch to the other player, and we set the moves to moves plus 1. All right, and that's about it for the picking of the square. Now we need to go here and say, hey, pick the eye. So what does this mean is that when we go through the array of the state, we are retrieving the index of that square and we're giving it to the pick function. And when we click it, we know what square to pick. Right, so let's see if this works. It doesn't. So I have an oopsie here. Remember to capitalize the click here so you don't run into problems. Let's see if this works now. And it works. Awesome. But now we have the functionality of picking it, picking the option. Now we're going to see how to say that somebody wins. All right. So we're going to create the function check win. Now this function, we're going to put it in the useEffect hook that is going to be run every time the state changes. So if the game is started, you're going to check win. Why do we make this exception here? So when a player wins, the state is going to reset. So we don't need to check it again because all the state is going to be 0. All right, so that's why we make this distinction. So let's start making the check win function. All right, so what do we need to keep in mind here? There is 8 winning possibilities. All right, so each column we have the same letter, each row we have the same letter, or each diagonal we have the same letter. Okay, so we need to check that 8 possibilities. Then we have 1 draw in the move 9 if nobody wins. All right, so we need to encode these 2 things into our check win function. So first of all, we're going to encode the possibilities into a check array of arrays of sort of coordinates of the state. All right, so meaning the first row is going to be 0, 1, 2. The second row is going to be, so we have here all the rows, all the diagonals, and all the columns encoded into this array. Now let's see. We're going to initiate a flag variable that's going to be false. This is going to hold if somebody wins or not. I'm going to go through each of the values in our position. I'm going to check if somebody wins or not. All right. So here we need to check if the 3 possibilities or the 3 coordinates are equal. How will we do that? So first we're going to check if the first and second one are equal. We're going to do a short circuit using and check the second and third. All right. How that looks like. So we check the first position and the second position in the state of the game, and we use the AND operator and the short circuit to see if the second or the index 1 and the index 2 are equal. So what does this mean? This means if this is not true, the if statement is going to go to false. But if this is true, it means that either of this is the same. So we can check to the third one. What happens if it is true? We're also going to check if either of them are 0. This means because we're checking sometimes, and sometimes the 3 numbers or 3 positions are all 0. And we don't want to say that somebody wins if there's nothing selected. So if it is all clear and all this is true, we can also make this if into this one. But I wanted to make more clear that is a second condition. We're going to make the flag to true. All right. Then outside the for each, we're going to say if flag. So if somebody wins, we're going to set the state of the app to a new game. So we're going to make a blackboard again. We do this by deconstructing the empty array or the 0 array. We're going to say that the last one is the player So why we are changing this to false to true? The reason is because we're changing the player, and after this change, we are checking the win. So we are checking the win in the next player move. All right. So we need to, if the state of the board is that somebody won, that that player is going to be the previous that place. If let me know if you have trouble understanding that. Maybe I didn't explain myself that way. So now we're going to make the game to go false. So the game is not started yet, and going to set the moves to 0. Also, the last, if you remember, the other condition is that in the move 9, if nobody wins, there is a draw. So if moves equal to 9, we're going to do the same here, but we're going to say that nobody won. So it's a draw. All right. And if this is all correct, we should be having our game. So let's see. Finally, before testing, we're going to display a couple of things. So we're going to display a HUD for the game. We're going to display first the current player, and then we're going to display the last player that won. I forgot to add another div here that was called, or is called, container, that contains all the game, and now all is centered correctly. All right, so let's test the game, shall we? So XO, let's see how we win. The current player is X, so let's win in this diagonal, and last one was X. The current player is the other one, and we won. Let's win in this direction now. And we won. Awesome. I think we have all of it. All right. So hope you like this sort of guide, sort of tutorial. If you want to catch the stream where I actually made this, I pull my hair thinking of how to do this, you can follow me on Twitch or see the video in the second channel that is a little bit longer, and you can see how I fuck up things and all of that. So please subscribe to the other channel and follow me on Twitch. Also, if you want to contact me, follow me on Twitter. And that's about it. If you like this one, give it a like, and I see you in the next one. Bye.